It started with a rumor. An old clay pot buried somewhere in the hills was said to hold untold riches. Gold coins, jewels, enough to change a life forever. When Ravi, a struggling farmer, first heard the tale, he laughed it off. Stories like these always floated around villages. But as the years went by and his crops kept failing, the idea began to haunt him. One summer morning, with nothing left to lose, he set out with a shovel. The pot was said to lie beneath an ancient banyan tree, one whose roots were older than memory. The journey there was brutal. The sun burned down, his hands blistered, and each step seemed heavier than the last. But in his mind, he kept seeing the same image, a pot overflowing with gold, lifting him out of poverty forever. When he finally reached the banyan tree, he began to dig. The ground was dry, cracked, unyielding. Hours passed. The sun sank lower. Just as doubt began to creep in, his shovel struck something hard. His heart pounded. Could this be it? Scraped away the dirt until the round curve of an old clay pot emerged. It was just like the stories, faded, weathered, yet somehow majestic. Hands trembling, he lifted the lid. But inside was no gold, no jewels. Only a handful of small, rough objects. Seeds. Just seeds. Ravi stared at them, his mind spinning between confusion and anger. This was supposed to be the treasure. After all the work, all the hope, frustrated, he almost threw them away. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the shape of them, or the faint smell of earth they carried. He decided to plant them, telling himself it was just to avoid feeling like a fool. Weeks passed. Seeds began to sprout. The sprouts grew into plants. Plants turned into strong green stalks, heavy with grain. And soon, Ravi found himself with more food than he'd ever harvested. The next season, he shared the seeds with his neighbors. Fields that had once been barren now swayed with golden crops. The village, once on the brink of famine, thrived again. It was then Ravi understood the truth. The pot had indeed been full of treasure, not the kind that glitters in your hand, but the kind that feeds 100 hungry mouths and lasts for generations. Sometimes, life promises you riches, but gives you something far greater. Not gold, not jewels, but the power to change a life, or maybe an entire village.